Oh, he is awake, sister. Ah, he is awake, Rem. It feels like my consciousness is rising to the surface from the ocean's depths. The time change and waking up again began with the voices of two girls with the same quality of voice. Based on how well I slept, I guess I'm in the same soft, comfortable bed as before. What burned Subaru's eyelids as he woke up from his slumber was the slight amount of sunlight streaming in through the curtains. The amount of glare was so soft that one would think it was morning. Don't know what time it is when you're on the road? Then why not try out my handy-dandy stubble clock? He gave a sales pitch to no one in particular and checked the time while waking himself up. When Subaru touched the stubble on his chin, it felt like it had been 4 or 5 hours since he'd woken up last. He could still feel some slight sluggishness in his body. It is 7 Brightson now, sir. It is almost 7 Brightson, sir. Perhaps it was because Subaru stared at the window and showed the action to check the time, but the voice kindly answered the question. 7 solar time. Subaru didn't even know what it meant, but he guessed it was 7 o'clock in the morning, judging by the letters. In the first place, he didn't even know if the time in this world ran on a 24-hour system. It's hard to tell if it's really 7 o'clock in the morning, but if I don't count the first time I woke up. So I pretty much slept through the whole day, huh? Well, that's not much of a surprise to me as someone who has slept for 52 hours straight. Sister, did you hear that? Truly the words of a lazy man. Yes, I heard that, Rem. Truly the words of a good-for-nothing man. So who are you two people who are always stereotyping me, ladies? With a thud, Subaru bounced off the covers and got up. The sudden action surprised the girls, who were standing next to the bed with Subaru between them. The girls jolted away from the bed, moved to the middle of the room, and then looked at him, hand in hand with each other. Although they had expected this to some extent, the girls looking at Subaru with their fingers intertwined looked exactly the same, twins. They were around 5 feet tall. They had large eyes and pink lips with shallow faces that made them seem childish and lovely. The two girls, who looked exactly alike, had their hair cut short, but their hair was different colors. One was pink, and the other was light blue. Furthermore, they covered one eye with their hair, but the pink-haired girl covered her left eye, and the light blue-haired girl covered her right eye. But such differences were only trivial. At this moment, based on those features, the thing that stirred Subaru's heart the most was, no way, are there even maid outfits in this world? A black apron dress with a white prim on top of their heads. The beautiful twin girls were dressed in the orthodox classic style of maid clothing. This is the embodiment of the ideal maid. Oh no, I'm currently being indecently humiliated in our guest's head, sister. Oh no, I'm being violated right now in the head of our guest, Rem. Don't underestimate my mental capacity. You're both fodder for my fantasies, ladies. Subaru held his arms out and ruffled his fingers in the air. The meaningless movement brought a shiver to the faces of the two maids, and they untied their intertwined fingers and pointed at each other. Please forgive me, sir. Just let Rem go and go defile sister. Please don't do it, sir. You can let Ram go and defile Rem instead. What kind of sisterhood is that? Selling each other out and making me look like some kind of evil villain. So scary. And the twins ran away, holding hands again. Subaru jumped out of bed and chased after them. The three of them ran around in circles in the large room, chasing each other, and couldn't you have woken up more quietly? A girl had knocked on the door softly, which opened with a thump, and then looked at the three of them from the doorway. The beauty of her long silver hair could be seen in full, and today, it was untied and naturally flowing down her back. Her clothing was not the robed outfit she usually wore, but was designed with noticeably darker colors to suit her white, slender body. The skirt was slightly shorter than knee length, revealing her slender legs, but that area was hidden by knee socks that reached up to the top of her thighs. Wow. Whoever picked this outfit out, I get what they were thinking. Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about, but it's so disappointing when I know it's something meaningless. Before he knew what he was doing, Subaru pumped his fist and cheered unintentionally. The girl, Amelia, looked at him with dumbfounded eyes in the doorway of the room. Subaru felt his heart flutter involuntarily at Amelia's sudden visit. The unexpectedly perfect outfit was a fresh and pleasant surprise, but what was even more pleasant was her presence here. Simply due to being treated poorly after first being summoned to another world, especially the ones who put him through hell in the beginning, Subaru had special feelings for her, the one who was the first to treat him with unconditional kindness. I feel like I've imprinted onto you. I don't want to leave you for a second, Mom. I was a bit worried because I heard that Beatrice played a prank on you while you were low on blood, but I guess it was useless to do so. Hey, I've never had trouble waking up, and I'm kind of afraid to ask you this, but, at the puzzled Amelia, Subaru nervously tapped his index fingers together and looked up at her. So, do you remember me? Your mannerisms are so weird, and that's a weird question to ask. I don't think anyone could forget someone who leaves such a strong impression like you, Subaru. Subaru's shoulders descended in relief when he heard Amelia softly whisper his name. The fact that the girl called him by his first name without an honorific was completely unexpected and embarrassing for him, someone who never really interacted with the opposite sex in his original world. His ears ended up turning bright red in embarrassment. Putting aside this somewhat immature behavior of Subaru, the twins, who had noticed Amelia's presence, rushed to her side. They moved behind her, and with only their faces on either side of her, they stared at Subaru. Kindly listen, Lady Amelia. The guest has humiliated my sister. Kindly listen, Lady Amelia. The guest has held me captive and violated Rem. It's really not good to tease him too much. I think it's something Subaru would do, but there's no way he could get away with it. Ram and Rem, don't you think you're playing too much with a sick patient? Yes, Lady Amelia. My sister is sorry for what she's done. Yes, Lady Amelia. I'm sure Rem will reflect on this. Ram and Rem, the two who were called by name, declared their remorse without a shred of remorse in sight. Perhaps accustomed to their attitudes, Amelia looked at Subaru without seeming to be bothered by it. So how are you feeling, Subaru? Does anything feel strange? Amelia watched Subaru closely, her violet eyes filled with a quiet warmth. Despite his strange mannerisms and the way he talked in circles, she couldn't deny the gratitude she felt toward him. They had only met yesterday, barely even that, but in that short time, he had gone out of his way to help her recover her stolen insignia. He hadn't asked for anything in return, hadn't hesitated to stand beside her, even when it was dangerous. Even now, he spoke to her so casually, as if they had known each other far longer than a single day. It was strange, but not entirely unwelcome. I thought I was going to die because I felt like my whole body was on fire before losing consciousness, Subaru said, rubbing the back of his head. But I don't feel like that at all now. Now I feel like I slept too much, actually. Amelia let out a small, relieved sigh. Yeah. It's been almost a day since I met you, and you slept through half of it. That's not true. Subaru's face twisted in confusion as he tried to protest. For him, perhaps, yesterday had felt much longer. But from her perspective, their time together had been brief, a whirlwind of events that ended in him collapsing. And yet, even in that short time, he had managed to leave a strong impression on her. It was rare for someone to act so selflessly toward her. She knew the weight of being half-elf, the way people looked at her with fear or suspicion. But Subaru had never once treated her like that. He had been kind to her. That was something she wouldn't forget. Sleeping too much and being lazy are habits of mine, and it's super unusual for me to be up in the morning, Subaru admitted, stretching. Amelia tilted her head. What kind of life have you been living? You see, it's easier to play games at night because you don't have to deal with all the unnecessary noise. To be frank, for a shut-in, the high hours of the day are a perfect time to sleep. Amelia sighed, shaking her head. You know, I'm really getting more and more disappointed in you, Subaru. Even as she said it, there was no real malice behind her words. He was a strange person, but she was starting to understand that was just the way he was. Besides, after all he had done for her, she couldn't bring herself to truly scold him. To change the subject, Subaru suddenly blurted, by the way, you look so different today. What were you doing? Oh, don't mention the clothes too much. I don't like it either. She shifted uncomfortably, brushing a strand of silver hair behind her ear. If you're wondering what I've been doing, I was just about to go about my morning routine. What's your morning routine? I'm going to borrow the garden of the mansion and talk to the spirits for a bit in the morning. Because that's part of the contract I made with various spirits. Wow, talking to spirits is super cool. I don't know what a contract is, but... Subaru's enthusiasm made her smile slightly. He really was an odd person, but maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Well, it's good that you're fine, Amelia said at last, but don't make too much noise because most people are still asleep at this time. Although, it's awful of me to tell someone who's been asleep for so long to be quiet. Subaru grinned. You're right. Oh, when you say garden, does that mean it's a bit bigger? It's more of a park than a garden. Why do you ask? Nah, provided you don't mind me doing something in the corner of the garden while you talk to the spirits, Amelia Tan. Amelia blinked in confusion. What? What did you just say? Okay, I'm in. I'll go with you. Hey, what did you say? What's Tan? Where did that come from? Though she tried to question him, Subaru simply dodged her words with a playful smirk. Amelia sighed, shaking her head again. Maybe she'd never fully understand him, but even so, she was grateful he was here. Even if it had only been a day since they met, she already knew Subaru was someone special.